let me just say I'm honored to be here with you. It's always special to me to be with a group of preschool teachers, and I have to always take an opportunity to encourage you that what you're doing is making a difference in the world. And I know sometimes we take this for granted, but it helps sometimes to hear that again, that regardless of how you're doing it, you are making a difference. I'm looking around the room, I see some seasoned teachers. How many preschool teachers are here today that have been doing this at least 15 or 20 years? Well, there are not very many of us, but there's some. And to those of you that are new to this career, I will tell you that the longer you do it, the more you grow to love it. It's the best job that Jackson, Mississippi has to offer in the surrounding area. It's just a wonderful opportunity to take the time to get to know a child who may not have the same circumstances that you had growing up, but they are learning to live in their circumstances, and especially with all of the social ordeals that they're being confronted with right now, with job loss from parents and those types of issues, separation, those ordeals. It's very important that I can stand here all afternoon and give you ideas of things to teach children, but if you will love that child as your own, that is my prayer every morning, is that I will love each of those children as much as I love mine too. So with that in mind, let me just give y'all a brief summary of some things I gathered, and I'm happy to stay. Are y'all going to take a break after this little deal? When y'all have a break, sometimes it's easier for me to talk to small groups of people than it is to try to cover everything in this large group. But let me just give you some ideas. I think one of the best things you can do in a workshop situation is listening to a speaker respond, but a lot of times you have the very ideas that you want to share. So don't hesitate to interrupt me if I say something that makes you think of something that you've had great success with, especially some of you who've been doing this for a long time. There's certain things, and you know as well as I do, there's certain things that we do that are never going to work. So my point is, why do you keep beating the dead horse? It isn't working, so quit doing it. Just because the book says to do it that way, don't do that anymore. Let's think of another way to do it. One of the biggest tools that I can offer you today is a child developmental checklist. I don't know how many of you are actively using those in your classroom. It's an old practice, but it's one that I don't think we can do without. And in addition to that is, I want to make sure everybody not only has a lesson plan book, but that you're using it. Because the biggest way to be taken over by a whole room of 3-year-old people is to not have a plan. I'm telling you, they're a force. When those little things get out of those carpools and they start coming in, it scares me to death every day. But I know that we've got a plan, and sooner or later we're going to win, and that'll be a happy morning for everybody. So I do encourage you to make sure that you're planning ahead, and a lot of times the group approach, you know, the bigger the force, the stronger the force. So don't try to go into this by yourself. You've got co-workers and all the assistance that you need. So be prepared for those little things the second they walk in the door. I have used for years, and this was a checklist that was very prevalent in the early childhood community in Jackson 30 years ago, but it is the mainstay of our program, and it's one that we will continue to use. I've seen different variations of this checklist, but this was a checklist that was developed by the Ferguson-Florissant School District in St. Louis, Missouri, 1 million years ago. I'm telling you, it's the dinosaur of the checklist. But if you've not had an opportunity to use this checklist with your children, I certainly encourage you to do it. I've made several copies, and again, if y'all will, Sandy, if y'all will help me pass these out, these are the 3-year-old developmental checklist from that series. Now, I have the whole series at my office, and I'm happy to share any of that with you. You can try to get it on the internet. I don't know if it's there or not. Do y'all think it is? She wants one of those checklists. Okay, they're hot items. If we don't have enough, I promise you, we'll make it, because I'm telling you, this will make a world of difference. And let me tell you why I believe in this so strongly. As children develop and we see them enter their 4th and 5th year of childhood, I'm telling you, there are a lot of times situations where I realize somewhere along the line somebody got the cart before the horse on some of this stuff. Those children that come to you as a 4-year-old, you need to know that they have mastered those developmental skills before they get to you, before they are ready to accomplish 4-year-old developmental tasks. And so I encourage you to use an evaluation tool, whatever it may be at your school, throughout the children's preschool years, because some of the best knowledge that we gain are those conferences that take place with our teachers from the previous year with the beginning year, at the beginning of the next school year, to know where there were difficulties, to see if what do they get now, 6.5 weeks of summer, if there were any improvements or any tasks that were mastered throughout the summer months. So you need to really take time before your year with those children start to let us know at the starting point of where they are, so that you'll have an opportunity to take them where they are and move forward. So I really encourage you to use some type of checklist as a complete preschool, in the complete preschool program. So if your headmaster or your dean is not doing that right now, I would really, really suggest that, because I think it'll make a world of difference in your program. In addition, I've concentrated the main parts of the handout on math, just because those are the questions that I feel like when I attend conferences, people are coming to me asking me specifically, what do you do in your math program? How do you introduce math to little children? So rather than read this to you, I just wanted you, I'm going to go through the handout and then I'm going to show you some specific ideas. But anyway, those are, I've drawn up some of the suggestions from Ferguson Florissant for you to use specifically with those children. But here again, these are skills that little children need to know before we start introducing operational skills to them in kindergarten and first grade. So I draw your attention to that, as well as their knowledge of classification and patterning and those types of things. I don't know how many of you are using a center-based approach in your classroom. How many of you are doing that? That's interesting. How many of you are these 3-year-old teachers? 3 and 4, and you're not using interest centers.
What about
both is good. Yeah, both is even better. I mean, both is good. I just can't encourage you enough to take time and really look at your classroom and how effectively your program is addressing the needs of 3-year-old children. You know, I tell people all the time, we can talk to them all day, but they are not going to get it unless they're doing it. You know, I can write the digits 1 and 2 on the board for 3 hours in the morning, but until those children are counting bears or counting rocks or counting shoes or counting fingers or counting something, they're not going to get that concept. So I really encourage you to take a look at your classroom and see how inviting that classroom is to a child that's only 36 or 48 months old. And when I say that purposely, they are little. They are in a world where people are moving so fast and skills are being introduced to them so advanced. We have got to remember they've only been here 36 months. That's not very long. And they are little, and we don't want to hold them too accountable for